Welcome again. It's time for another episode of ChoiceTV Radio. The only question is radio or is it TV? Hey, it's actually both. With your host, Jon Marchese, the award-winning executive producer and owner of Choice TV. Hey, John.
Hey, how's it going, Paul?
Wow, you just pushed the envelope on what we're capable of doing out of this little studio. We are Facebook streaming. We're all over on Twitter and things and stuff here. I can't even believe it. You got 100 people in the studio.
I know. I've stretched. Paul has had to add extra microphones because I have a motley crew in today.
Big crew.
I should give the listeners kind of what's going on in here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 6 people here.
That's all I can see. There's probably more in the back there.
Oh, we're going to have 10 people next week, Paul. I didn't tell you that.
Yeah,
we're really going to stretch. Well, first of all, I have my announcer, Paul, and I have my producer, Ryan, over in the corner there.
Hello.
Oh.
Yeah, whose mic isn't on?
It's on. Well, I can't hear him there. Let's turn him way up.
Okay, when you figure that out, then and who else I have in here? I'm really excited, folks, because I've had famous comedians in here. I've had actors. I've had publishers. I've had incredible real estate agents. But I'm really nervous today. I'm really nervous, everybody. I'm really nervous, Paul. You know why?
Why are you nervous?
Because I have my first boss. After college, a lot of the listeners and the viewers don't know that before I went into directing and producing and now hosting, I was a physical therapist, Paul.
No, you were a physical therapist?
I practiced physical therapy, and I have my first boss in here today, Mike Mandas.
Thank you for being here, John. I appreciate it.
Did you think he was going to go this far, Mike? Come on, tell the truth. No, come on.
No, I wasn't sure what to expect because it's been a long time since I've seen John.
Yeah.
And I remember those days where he first entered the practice and he was getting into his physical therapy. And like we've talked about earlier, there was a period where we knew, okay, maybe this isn't quite what you had in mind. This wasn't quite what you were expecting in terms of a profession, but we had a great time.
We did,
and we had a lot of stories that made it a lot of fun.
And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that.
Real quick, Mike, was John a good employee?
Well, I would say John was a very good employee because I picked him.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yes, he only picks
him.
the best. And speaking of picking the best, we have other good people, the best people. We have Darci Tharp here. Say hi, Darci.
Hi.
She's a physical therapist, too. She has her own practice. And this is what's kind of interesting is that we all have our own businesses. Darci has her own practice in Newport Beach. What's the name of it, Darci?
Healthzone, physical therapy.
Healthzone, because we're going to, and while we're talking, what's your practice?
Well, we have 2 offices. One is Los Alamitos, Ortho and Sport, PT, and another one is Newport Physical Therapy.
Oh, my gosh. And my third guest today.
We got more? I
we have
can't
more.
Keep track of all this.
Yes. I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of people that I worked with.
You know everybody.
Is Gilbert Orbeso. Say hi, Gilbert.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, my gosh.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you, John.
Is Gilbert's mic on?
I don't hear Gilbert.
I know. I don't hear
Gilbert talking. We were trying a different mic on.
I know. I'm really pushing Paul to the limit,
he
right,
can
guys?
share mine.
Okay,
Turn the mic around the other way. Let's
flip
it around
see
the other way. Let's see if that's...
While you figure that out, Gilbert, he was the aide. He was the aide when we worked together, right, Gilbert?
Yes, John.
And he was the aide, and now since he is a PT assistant, so he is a licensed physical therapy assistant, right?
Yes.
Right? And now he has his own business too. He is the owner of Vital Fitness LLC, right?
Yes.
You got to get that LLC. He does mobile athletic training.
Yes. Personal training. Yes.
Our little Gilly has his own business too, right? Right, guys?
It's incredible.
I knew he would go there.
Yes.
You knew it, right?
I knew he would do good things.
I know, which we all have. So I want to get into all this. So thank you guys for coming. I pulled it off.
Inviting us.
Thanks for having us, John.
That's great.
I pulled it off.
It's like a reunion.
It is a reunion, and our listeners get to join in on the reunion because we're going to obviously promote all our businesses, but we're going to tell some funny stories, and we got a lot of them.
That's the ones that we can remember after this length of time.
I kind of jogged your memory, though,
You
on a
did.
couple things. And you guys did, too. So
Now, did you ride the limo, and are you taking him up to Big Bear and all the other, and down to the races and all the other places? I mean, you're just all over the place. over the
Well,
last few
usually
years.
what I do is I get a commitment from my guests, like a guest at a limo company. So I'm going to get a free limo from Robert Tranchina in D. London at ALS Limo. And then one of my guests a couple weeks ago, Brian Weaver, has his own cabin in Big Bear. So I made him on air say we can use his cabin. So we got to see what we could, what commitment.
And who
what
are
can
the
we get.
ladies that were...
Okay,
that,
well, we could stretch you out.
Okay.
And Gilbert, get busy on the exercise.
On training,
you know?
on training. Yes, I need
Yeah.
some training.
Are you up to training?
Yeah.
Okay. All
I mean,
right.
I had a trainer a long time ago. I don't like to have a set schedule because I work late. I go after work a lot of times. So, it's hard to have a set schedule. Right,
Well,
Gilbert?
It takes care of those aches and pains, right, Gilbert?
It does. It does.
We're going to talk about that too. First of all, I wanted to get into Mike and Darci and Gilbert. What made you get into physical therapy? Let's start from the beginning.
Well, for a lot of us, we are introduced to physical therapy at a young age in a sports-related kind of injury. So you never knew that maybe physical therapy existed until you need a physical therapist. So that was my first contact in high school. And once I looked into it, I did some volunteering. I knew that was a profession I wanted to get into. I wanted to learn about anatomy and physiology, all those basic things that kind of lead you down that road. And honestly, after being in this career for a long time, I don't regret it at all. It's been a great career, and I'm looking forward to what goes on in the future. And there's a lot of opportunity. You've got a lot of battles, but there's a lot of great opportunity. So
Nice.
certainly don't regret it.
Hey, how about you, Darci?
That's exactly it.
Really?
I was a track runner and hurt myself, and all I knew was athletic trainers, and got introduced to physical therapy. And I almost didn't go into physical therapy just because the education kind of scared me, like the chemistry and the physics. And once you get through that and you get to where you want to go, it's been upward all the time since then. So.
Yeah. Well,
That's exactly what I want to do.
I was at Long Beach State undeclared, and I go, well, I got to pick a major. It was like a year and a half into, I was a sophomore, and they had physical therapy there, and I knew it'd be a good job. And I loved anatomy, physiology, kinesiology, and I start taking the prerequisites, and they are hard. They are hard.
I heard that in the dorm rooms.
Yeah, I lived in the dorms the first 2 years, and back then you had to have at least a B in all your prerequisites, and we're talking chemistry and physics and statistics, and I kept pushing away, and I got into PT school, which is hard. I didn't get in on my first try. It's like 500 people applying for 30 positions. You hear that, Ryan? It's kind of hard to get into PT school.
I don't want to try that then.
Yeah, it's hard. Actually, harder than medical school, from what I've heard back then, because there's a lot more medical schools. And I did, graduated, studied hard. But here's something I want to talk about. So Mike hired me, and I want to talk about that. But maybe, did you guys have this aha moment, like about 3 weeks after I started, 3 weeks after Mike gave me the job working with Darci and Gilbert? I literally went home and I collapsed on the couch, and I said, everybody's got pain. Everybody has got pain.
You felt their pain, huh, John?
I felt their pain, and not only pain, some of these people are suffering, and it's like they never prepared us for PT school. They should have had a class on you will experience pain and suffering. What do you got to say about that, Mike?
Well, there's no question. When you come out of school, you're wondering if you're prepared. When you get to the job, you realize there's a lot of things that were left out. You learned your book work, but you didn't learn the process of taking on patients with true disability and true life
No
changes.
textbook cases.
Yes,
That's right. That's right.
There you certainly can be overwhelmed, but once you realize that you're going to be a help in their situation, and you see that you've got a bigger goal than just being a therapist, then that's what motivates you to keep doing what you're doing. And then you see the outcomes, you see the success stories, which just reinforces what you're doing.
It's very rewarding, huh, Mike?
It's very rewarding, and you have your ups and downs through that. But what you come to find out is you kind of live by the book. You suffer with people. You kind of sense their pain. You also have a plan to make them better, and many times you do make them better. So the rewards are there, and that's what keeps you going.
Okay,
And
I got to interject here because Mike being the first boss that most of us had, and pretty much my first one, even though I was in the field for a while, if we hadn't had this guy as a boss, I don't know how I would have felt. I mean, I've had a few bosses since that, I could easily drop kick, and seriously, Mike was like the best.
He was the best.
I'll pay you later.
Yeah, I'll pay you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, I can attest to that. That's
Yeah.
Well, Gilbert, Gilbert is the funny story about Gilbert is that, and we talked about that already, is that I did hire you when you were like, I don't know, you might have been 16.
Yeah,
19,
he still looks
19.
16,
He probably
Mike.
was 16. I probably broke the law, but
I had to call you several times. Did I get the job?
yeah, maybe you did, But and then he was very young looking. He still is very young looking.
Sure.
He hasn't changed at all, and his energy level
kind.
is the same. So I've had good people that I've crossed paths with, so I've been very lucky that way. And by the way, Darci, you did remind me that I had to spend a lot of money to get you because you belong to a registry. And when you belong to a registry, the dollar amount that you have to buy them out is quite big.
Right,
So, yes,
right. And you
yes.
know what, Mike? Do you know that she was mad at me and you when I first started? Tell Mike that story and our listeners,
I haven't
please.
heard
Well,
that. I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
When you work for registry, it's kind of known that when you go to a place, they kind of dump a lot of patients on you because they're paying a lot of money for you to work there. And and then he hired Jon, who had like
new out of
maybe
school.
one or two patients. And I went back because I started with registry, so I automatically had 20 patients a day.
20?
know?
I don't.
Yeah, no.
That's embellishing.
Yeah, I think so.
registry?
Did we have that many
Yeah.
patients? Okay, 15. Okay, 15 to 20.
There was one day, seriously, you had 2 patients and I had 17.
Oh
but
my
you
gosh.
had
But
just
he offered
started.
to help you, didn't he?
He was asleep.
I was
That was the
asleep.
day he
Yes,
slept.
he was asleep. On the
Okay,
second day
we'll get
on the
into that
job,
story.
John.
We'll get
I
into
didn't
that.
see any of that.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
we'll
I
get
didn't
into
see any
that
of
story. But I was fresh out of college. I mean, I was scared. I was scared out of my mind. In fact, I remember the first patient I had. I was on my own. First patient, I did a quick eval. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I'm like, afterwards, I'm like, okay, let's ultrasound you. Because that's what you do. You just ultrasound. I didn't know what the heck to do with this patient. Because
And that's when you called Gilbert in.
that's what I call, hey,
That's-
Gilbert, can you
that's where
ultrasound?
reinforcements
I
came
got to
in.
go sleep, which we're going to talk about that story.
yeah.
But Mike was nice enough to just break me in. I mean, you got to. It's right.
Well,
Thank you, Mike.
You've got a new graduate. Darci's the experienced therapist. It's
Right.
only right that she see more patients than you to start with. Right.
Right.
That was
That's
the
right.
plan.
That's right.
And so that's how it worked for a while.
And then
until we found Jon sleeping at his desk.
Okay,
Then that
let's
was
talk
the
about
problem.
that. Okay, so tell Gilbert, because he's just dying to tell us. It is kind of funny.
Okay, so it must have been your second day on
I
the
think my
job?
second day. Okay.
And so Mike asked, where's Jon? So I'm looking around. I'm looking in the storage room. I look in the office. Look in the bathroom. He's not there. Nowhere there. So I go and look, and there's a curtain that was closed. Looked in there and took a peek. Like, oh, he's sleeping. So I go back and tell Mike, he's sleeping. It's like, well, get him up. So I go wake him up. I didn't want to wake him up because I didn't know what he was going to do. I was just the aide.
Yeah, right.
And so wake him up, I was like, do I got to get up? I'm dead tired. And he's on a hot pack, sleeping. So,
That was the day he had 2 patients.
yeah, that was the day I had 2 patients.
And I don't think Darci was working because you only work 2 days a week, right? You only work like Tuesday, Thursday.
No, I worked 3 days a week.
3 days a week.
Yes.
So if it was my
At
second
first.
day, then
Yeah.
it was a Tuesday. The clinic was dead. There was nothing to do. I just had my first day. I was tired, folks. I was tired.
See, Mike, he
One
needed
day.
more patience.
I needed more
obviously.
You had more
patience.
patients. Darcy.
I
No,
did
there was-
make some mistakes.
There was no patience in the clinic. So Gilbert throughout the years has given me a hard time about that. But yeah, even
he should, yes.
as he should. So yes, Darci, yes. Yeah, would you like to add anything else to that story?
Oh, not to that story.
But then when you became high, and I could see that being registry, we're all employees, and you feeling like the odd man out, right?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I immediately felt like part of the group.
Right.
I mean, I knew I worked for a different company, but I still felt part of the group because I was there for a long time.
Yeah, we used that registry for a long time.
Yes. Yeah, because therapists were hard to come by. They were. They still
hard
are.
to find.
They still are.
And loads changed, so you kind of flexed with hours and things like that, so it gave you some flexibility there.
Yeah. In fact, one of my memories of Mike is working at the hospital is that PTs commanded a certain salary at the time. We're talking 25 years ago. It was like 42, 44,000. That's a lot of money right out of college 25 years ago. And I remember Mike, because of the constraints of the hospital, he couldn't afford that, but he said, if you work overtime, I'm going to give you overtime and we can make it work. And I just thinking, wow, I'm working overtime. Like, I have a real job. This is kind of cool. He's making accommodations for me.
I think you were
What a cool
sleeping
dude.
overtime.
Oh no. But yes, Gilbert.
It'll never go away, John.
I know. But, eventually, folks, yes, I built my patient load. I was a successful PT. I worked at the hospital for 5 years, and I had a good time doing it. I really had a good time doing it.
We all had a good time doing it.
We all had a good
Yes.
time. And one of the things I remember when we moved upstairs, because we first started, remember, downstairs, and then we moved upstairs, and I liked that clinic. That was a nice clinic.
You liked the upstairs.
I liked the upstairs.
It had a nice view.
It did. It had a nice view. It was a good energy. And I remember us all charting in that room. That it was all the three therapists, us three, and we would just sit and laugh and talk, right?
No, we did. That gym had, I don't know what it was. Maybe because you could see out.
Yeah,
or
right,
something,
Yeah,
right.
the view of 4 floors was really nice, John.
Right. And
Sleeping view.
it was just it was some good vibes there.
Now, I'm trying to remember the room you're talking about.
The gym?
So we were in that gym room.
No, but we were in that one chart. We used to where our desks were. Yeah, we
Yeah.
would chart, and we would literally talk for 20 minutes, and we were like, okay, we got to get back to charting. And we just have a good time. We would laugh and talk, and in fact, we were trying to think of memories. Like I asked Mike, did you ever remember did you ever have an argument with Mike? I mean, he was such a good boss.
No, I never had an argument with him.
I never had an argument. Although there was one, and you don't know the story. The only time there was something that happened in the clinic, and I wanted to do it one way, and Mike wanted to do it the other. And obviously, you're the boss. So I'm like, yeah, we'll just do it his way. And then as it turned out, like I was right, or I would have been right. And I said something I kind of said it loud so you can hear it. I'm like, yeah, we should have done it my way. And then Mike came in and he said, you scolded me, which was, I deserved it.
Did I scold you?
You
Okay,
scolded
good,
me. Yeah,
good.
you scolded me.
You're
You put
right,
me
you
in
did
place.
deserve it.
I did deserve
Took
that, damn it.
advantage of me.
I did that. But you know what? Seriously, in the 4 years that we worked together, that was the only time. I mean, that's how awesome this man is. That, like Darci said, usually you want to strangle your boss, but we had such a good mentor too, and a good friend as well.
The advantage too is you're surrounded by good people, and generally most people that get into that field, it's a caring field, it's a helping field. You come with a good heart to begin with generally, and so that's what I think makes it work.
Okay, yeah, but I do want to convey another story. So again, this is I was a host, a busboy. I worked at the dorms. This was my first real job. I mean, this is a professional job, and I don't know, it was about maybe a year or so into it. And I think Darci, Mike, you're the boss. You kind of said something, and there wasn't really that much case. We all did our own thing. As therapists, we kind of, and if the patients are happy, everybody's happy, which our patients were happy. But Mike said to do something, and Darci said, King Weenie has spoken, like in front of Mike. And I remember cringing, thinking, did she just call our boss King Weenie? Oh my gosh, she's going to get fired. I would never do that. Do you remember that?
Well, see, this was where we differ because Mike is very even keel, very easygoing, and it was kind of like what he said. You said something that was like, nope, this is how it's going to be, blah, 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 blah. And you just kind of walked away because you were a little upset. I hadn't seen you like that. And my memory is I said, well, King Rat has spoken. And you turned around and you looked at me for a second. You walked into the office where we chart, and I think you started laughing, because Somebody just called me King Rat, or whatever.
I like that name.
So
That's a good name.
And I'm sitting there mortified. You're laughing, you're mad or whatever, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's gonna get fired and blah 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 blah. Gilbert, do you remember any of these stories?
Maybe I was sleeping, John.
Yeah. Oh God, we're never gonna. Okay. Okay. This is a good story. We had a patient that, remember, she had to have an ambulance called. Do you remember that? We had a patient that I think she was like having a heart attack or whatever. And as she, so the ambulance had to come, and it's pretty serious, like when a patient goes down like that. And as she's being wheeled off, she has tubes, and the paramedics are working on her, and the tubes and everything. Sweet Gilbert goes,
have a nice day.
Yeah, bye, Mrs. Smith.
And I think I might have said, good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Not in a bad way.
Keep in touch, and I mean, her eyes are rolling in the back of her head, and, Gilbert's giving her a nice sign off.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how sweet
I do remember
he is.
that, John.
Okay, all right, good.
I remember that too.
Yes, okay. So Paul is motioning me.
I'm giving you the sign off here.
Yeah, we're going to just take a quick break, gather more thoughts, and we will be back at OC or Choice TV Radio in just a minute.
All right, we're back with John in this crazy madhouse of fun. I never heard of a place so fun to work here. I could bring lots of my ex-bosses, and we would have 30 seconds to talk here.
I know. Well, that's how much fun it was. I like to have fun, and and at the beginning, I didn't say what I do. I shoot business commercials. Nowadays, everybody needs a video on their website. We live in an ADD society. They want information. They don't want to read a website. I do a quick and concise commercial. 2-3 minutes. It features your business, the good points, has a good call to action. I rank it on Google because a lot of people can make good videos, but not a lot of people could rank it, do SEO. So I get people to see it.
Phenomenal. You guys get great results. And the other reason I've heard you say this before, in a world where we've all moved to a smartphone, why are we still writing stuff? That smartphone does everything great except read. I can't read on a 2-inch screen. I got to watch something here. You need to make video for that little screen.
Right, that's right. That's right. Yeah, and I have a TV show that I air on Fox. It has the best commercials that I've done, and it gives them some promotion with that. So that's what I do. But I wanted to talk about my guests. I want them to promote their practice. So, Mike, you have 2 practices, Los Alamitos Orthopedic and Sports Physical Therapy, and your other practice is called?
Newport Physical Therapy.
Newport Physical Therapy.
It is in Irvine.
Newport, but in Irvine.
It's in Irvine. It started out in Newport, so we moved maybe about 3 years ago. Got to a little better space.
And what makes you different, Mike? I mean, it sounds like, you've been in business 23 years there, right?
Right, 23 years. And, when you look at physical therapy, you see that there's a lot of clinics that look a lot like the others. You all do the same thing. I mean, we are a clinic that sees orthopedic physical therapy or provides orthopedic physical therapy for post-surgical, post-injury. We see young kids, we see seniors, we see the gamut. And that's a lot like other clinics. If you think about what sets you apart, I guess I'd have to go back to the beginning when we started with maybe 3 guys and we had a receptionist. And now we've got 2 clinics. We've got over 50 full and part-time employees. We've established growth. We've taken risk over the years, and we've taken some big risks in the recent 3 years where we moved 2 practices into new and bigger locations. And so we've continued to grow our business, but yet we've stayed in the same community. We have a community imprint that's there. We have patients that come to us, their families come to us, their relatives come to us, their friends come to us. So there's a lot of that kind of connection within the community we work in. So in terms of what sets us apart, I think it's that kind of service that we provided for a long time. We have a great staff. We have great physical therapists, provide great care.
How many PTs?
But
altogether?
Altogether, we have about 10 physical therapists with 3 partners. So I have... And that's another thing that sets me apart is I've worked with the same 2 partners for 23 years, which is unheard of.
That is. I mean, there's fights usually. Yeah. They don't work out very well.
Andrew Einhorn and David Bradley they're great friends. They're great business partners. and that's been something that sets us apart as well. So
That's fantastic.
that's been maybe the best part of what I've done over the last 23 years.
Right. And we all know what a good PT Mike is, right? I mean, he would go the extra mile for his patients. And a lot of the women had crushes on him, right? Right, guys?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, now come on.
Oh, those, I mean, half of them you didn't even know about, I don't think.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a VIP patient, and Mike was so nice. And she wasn't rich. She worked for a city, and I'm not going to say the name of the city or obviously her, but Mike would block out 1 hour of time to treat her. She only wanted Mike, and Mike gave her the best. And even though she wasn't that big, in her own mind she was a VIP, but he really went the extra mile. And I'm sure he still does that with his patients. Right, Mike?
Well, it's another positive is that I've always worked and maintained a patient load. So that's the highlight of my career is working with patients. So and my two partners do the same thing. So we work elbow to elbow with everybody treating patients, and that's the way I like it. Sometimes you come across different situations like that, and you have to learn how to manage that situation, and that's sometimes the highlight of a job too.
Right.
Yeah.
But all your 10 therapists, you still haven't found anybody as good as Darci and I, right? And Gilbert, right?
It all started with you guys.
It started with us.
You kind of set the
With the
print
foundation.
The bar kind of hard,
and now
kind of high.
After that, I knew where to go.
Yeah, right.
It was easy.
How about you, Darci? What's that? You have your own. It's called Healthzone.
Healthzone.
Right in the peninsula, Newport Beach Peninsula. Right?
Yep, I'm right in the middle of a bunch of construction right now. Lido area is just expanding, and there's going to be a hotel down there, and you get the beach traffic. In fact, just the other day, someone is renting the place above me, and he came down, hey, I've got this shoulder problem. So he's here on vacation, and him and now his brother's wife are going to come see me.
Nice. See, just you get that foot traffic.
Never knew I would get tourist traffic.
And what sets you apart? We talked a little bit. This is incredible. This is a good. Tell them.
Well, like I said in the beginning, we have a good mentor or whatever. So
yes, for sure.
We learned how to treat patients, and whether they are VIP or whatever, and I'm sure Mike is the same way, you treat all your patients the same.
Right.
They're all VIPs.
Yes.
And the difference I have right now is, as you moved yours 3 years ago, I went in to Newport, so thank you for that, by the way. But,
Enjoy that rent.
yeah. No.
Enjoy that rent.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But I have found that because I am still a small clinic, I have a one-on-one with the patients.
Yes,
So
yes.
I don't have aides right now. I don't have anybody. And even when I've worked at a facility that I had aides, my eyes were always on them because, they don't know as well as I do how to make somebody exercise if they're using the correct body mechanics and that kind of thing. So right now, my patient load are people that are getting frustrated with the mills, where you go to a therapy place, you see a therapist for 5 minutes, they give you to the aide, and they never see the therapist again, not even to say goodbye,
Right.
And in this area, probably more Huntington Beach where I used to be, there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of mills.
Yeah.
A lot of mills.
So people are coming to me saying, I've been to 5 different therapists, and oh my gosh, you're the first person that's done anything manual,
Right.
on me. So I'm kind of disgusted with that, because as a therapist, you want all of them to be good, and give your career a good name. But at the same time, I'm glad to have the business.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, it's and that is that when you pick a therapist, because we got to give some value and some advice to people that might be listening.
Yep.
Ask them, are you just going to pawn me off on an aide? How many times am I going to see you? I need to see you. I want to see you every time I'm here, because a lot of clinics do that, folks. We know that you get evaluated by the PT, and then you're just doing exercises with an aide. I mean, what kind of therapy is that? And especially with the Darci's clinic, and because Mike was our mentor, he kind of instilled in us, this is how you do things, that you get that one-on-one with the therapist. And it is important, that soft tissue techniques that we all do. And what about you? You do personal training. I see all your pictures on Facebook. The elderly.
That's right, John.
Gilbert has a good time.
I have a very fun time.
You work with the elderly population mostly,
Yes,
right?
Yes,
right?
Yes. I specialize in, I see all ages, but I do specialize in seniors, baby boomers, and our 80s and 90-year-olds. You know, a lot of this stems a lot from day one with working with Mike and Darci and you, John. And these guys are not only great clinicians, you know, among other therapists that are out there, David Bradley, Kathy Bradley, Andy Einhorn, Debbie Walker, a lot of people that I've been exposed to. I was exposed to a lot of therapists. And the thing is, being exposed like that gave you all these tools, you know, that you can just hand out when you needed them. And they're not only great clinicians, Mike and Darci, is that they're also, you know, their kindness rubs very good on you. And you know,
Darci's crying. She's tearing up.
A lot of that.
I think I am too.
I
and
take
Mike.
that to till this day.
Oh my God.
So when I see my clients, you know, part of what they taught me and what I learned from them, I take that with me. And it's great also, you know, to do one-on-one, and I could any conditions that they have, I am not afraid to train them. Whatever condition that they have, you know, strokes, heart attack, Parkinson's, orthopedic conditions, I can provide a program for them.
And it's fantastic. It's like aftercare for them, because a lot of times their Medicare will run out, and if people have the money, and people in our area, they can afford it. If you don't have your health, what do you have? So you go to Gilbert, and Gilbert will do exercises with you and provide excellent. And guys, we all say that the patients loved Mike. They loved all of us. Did they not love Gilbert? I mean, Gilbert, right, Mike?
Might have been the favorite.
I can speak to that, because Gilbert worked with me shoulder to shoulder, and he was a PT assistant who saw my patients. So I know what kind of PT assistant he was, and it was like having another physical therapist. There was really no difference in terms of that.
Right. For 20 years he worked with you.
For 20 years.
20 years.
Mike could go on vacation without any problems.
Yeah, I mean,
anybody.
right.
That's true.
Right.
And I should say, not forget to mention that we have 3 very good PT assistants, just like Gilbert, in our clinic, that, as you say, when a therapist is there and seeing new patients and bringing patients in, you want to make sure that that patient is treated properly. And so you make sure you have proper staff besides the aides that are there, that are important people in a physical therapy practice. The PT assistants are extremely important, and Gilbert was one of those PT assistants that set us certainly a bar that was very high. And we have Mike Quinn and Mike Venegas and Tim Ankeny, who are 3 great PT assistants in LaSalle, and we have another PT assistant in Newport who has a huge influence on our patients there.
That is fantastic. And Gilbert, what is the name? We're going to go over the websites. How did people get a hold of you? And he is the #1 trainer in Long Beach, by the way. #1. He has been ranked on the internet. He is #1. So if people want the top, how would they get a hold of you?
They would get a hold of me. They can go through Facebook with my name, Gilbert Orbeso.
Or Orbeso.
Orbeso.
Right.
And my website is www.govitalfitness.com.
GoVitalFitness.com. So put that in, because people are listening on the radio. They could do that right now.
Yes.
They could do that right now.
Yeah.
And Darci, how about you? How do they get a hold of you? What's your website?
My website is healthzoneinc.org.
Healthzoneinc.org. There's no period after the INC, is there?
No.
Because I want people.
No.
Healthzoneinc.org. And you're on Facebook as well.
I'm on
right?
Facebook, and I'm on Yelp, all the other little search engines. So
Fantastic. How about you, Mike?
The easiest way to reach us is LosAlamidosPT.com or NewportPhysicalTherapy.com, and our wellness program is TrainToShape.com. So any one of those will get you to us. Fantastic.
I also wanted to talk about a little serious, but I think it's worth noting when PTs need PT. Darci and I and Mike, thankfully Gilbert have had major surgeries in our life, and I know it impacted how I look at PT. Doctors make the worst patient. Although I thought I was a great patient when I first started at the clinic 25 years ago, I remember Reva, who was a PT assistant. We got to give a shout out to Reva. Reva, if you're listening,
Wherever
if you can,
you are.
yeah, wherever you are.
She's dancing somewhere.
She's dancing somewhere. She was a ballet dancer.
Doing Pilates somewhere.
Reva told Mike, you need to get an MRI. You need to get another MRI. And I'm like, what? How? Mike, what? Well, Mike had a brain tumor. Mike, what? And, I never really talked about that much back then, but it was something that, you had your struggles, right?
Well, we all have, you don't have to live very long in this world to have some life-changing events.
Sure.
And that was certainly one for me. And fortunately, I was surrounded by good medical care. And happened to have a tumor that I thought was more related to stress than anything. And after I was convinced to have an MRI, there it was.
And did you have headaches before? Did you have blurry vision or what?
Well, I had serious headaches, and I would have tremors in my hand at the end of the day. Then they just got worse and worse, so I knew something was up. And as it turned out, I had the MRI. And I was then referred to Barry Severa.
Oh, excellent doctor.
Yeah,
Barry Severa.
Yeah. And shout out to him. And
Yeah.
I never forget him and what he did for me. But he did surgery. First, he put a shunt in to kind of save my life right away. And then we went back in and removed the tumor. And fortunately for me, going into that situation, all I could recall were all the patients that we have all crossed paths with who weren't as lucky as I, and the things that can happen.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I believe in higher power. I believe the God above took good care of me and got through it very well. And I really have no issues now, and I'm pretty much clear at this point.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God. And Reva said that was it a teratoma? Was it? And the teratoma of our listener, that's like when a twin is growing in you. Was it a teratoma?
That was just a rumor.
Was it a rumor?
It was a rumor.
What? So it was like a non-cancerous.
You want to hear the name of it?
Sure. It's probably a long name.
It was an oligodendroglioma.
Oh my gosh.
It is a tumor that's malignant, but like Severa told me, he said, "Don't worry about this. Something else will get you before this did."
Oh, okay.
So he was pretty confident that he went in, he got most of it, and as it turned out, nothing's ever appeared again. So I just count my blessings with that for sure. Happy to be here.
Thank God. But see, listen to your body. You have these tremors, these headaches. It's not all stress. Get things checked.
Right. Stay close to your doctor.
Catch early. And Darci has had orthopedic stuff. That is what irony when you've treated patients all your life. Now you're a patient. Well, you had back fusion. We had back fusion around the same time because I got to tell my story. Go ahead.
That was the last injury.
Yeah, you've had multiple surgeries.
Ganglion cyst removal and shoulder injury.
And abdominal surgery. You have had abdominal surgery and stuff. You've had lots
That's totally different.
Yeah, but this back fusion, it's an orthopedic condition. You had your foot was numb, right? Your leg?
No, actually not. I didn't have any symptoms whatsoever. It's that thing where you've done a lot of bad body mechanics. You've done a lot of bad posture. I've worked on people for a long time.
Yeah, right.
And who knows what I did before that, And I literally was folding a towel, and my disc herniated onto the L3, L4 spinal nerve, blocked the foraminal hole. So I had like a cork compressing down on my nerve. And of course, I'm kind of like the knee's all numb and it's getting weaker, and they're going, well, we're going to do an epidural. And epidurals sometimes work, but I just kind of knew it wasn't going to. And so, but insurance-wise, you go through it, and then
didn't work.
They got me to the right doctor who did the MRI, and he goes, yeah. It's fusion. I had there was a black or white. There was no, maybe this will work, maybe we can do this. It was just, I needed a fusion. So
and I got to interrupt you. Now, from being a physical therapist, I said I would never have a fusion. It seemed like nobody ever got well from a fusion. And they got worse a lot sometimes. And a lot of times they were just, right, Mike? That fusions were just...
That's the way it appeared. Yes.
Yes. And maybe because we got a skewed area of the population that they saw us. If they were okay, they wouldn't go to physical therapy. But just some of the patients I saw, I have had 2 patients in my career say that they wanted to hurt themselves. I had to call one of the doctors of the patient and say, "Your patient, I'm very worried about them." They had a fusion, 2 of them. And so you had your fusion, and thank God. But listen to this, Gilbert. She had her fusion. That's a major surgery, folks. And what are you doing 3 weeks later?
Going back to work.
I mean, people take 6 months off sometimes.
I had just opened a clinic. I need to go back to work.
Yep.
That is dedication, folks. You hear those patients that Darci treated? I know you were probably in worse pain than they were.
Probably.
Yeah,
You don't tell them that. You just get the patient done.
Oh, that was another thing I hated. It was like treating patients. Oh, like they had like a little injury, and you're in so much pain, and you can't tell them. You can't let on. But yeah, the doctor said to me, because I had the spondylolisthesis, which the vertebra was slipping forward. It was slipping forward so much it was slipping that it was cracked. It got cracked. And the doctor told me I went to 5 doctors, Mike. I would not take a fusion. I was not going to have fusion. And the 5th doctor, who was a friend of mine, it was my neighbor, Dr. Price, and he's like, "John, if you don't want to end up in a wheelchair, you got to have the surgery. It's okay. They're just going to they're going to go through your stomach and go to your spine, through your stomach." And my eyes pop. It was like those cartoons. My eyes like popped out like, wait, isn't there a lot of important things you got to get to my spine? Oh, we just stick it to the side. No big deal. But yeah, it was a cage from the front, and they flipped me around and put screws and rods in my back. But 6 weeks later, I'm on the treadmill.
Yeah.
I'm on the treadmill, and thank God, I'm doing great.
The injury that got me was the shoulder.
The shoulder. You know what? Right. What do you think, Mike? I think the shoulder is the most painful joint to have.
It can be. If you had a rotator cuff repair, there's probably nothing that's more painful than that rehab.
The pain.
I was working, and I finally got up to about my interpretation 6-7 pain out of 10.
That's a lot, because Darci could take a lot.
I said, I better go to the doctor, so did an MRI without contrast, and it just showed like a little tear. So I said, get in there and fix it. We're slow right now, thinking I'd be a month, He got in there, and I had 3 rotator cuff tears, the short head of the bicep tear, 3 tears in the labrum, some bone spurs, bad acromion. So a little bit more work. And then I grew inflammatory scar tissue, so they had to go back in. And then finally, 8 months later, I'm completely better. And I had actually initially injured it doing a skateboard championship.
Oh, my gosh.
Overworking. And as soon as I got back...
That was a mistake.
Yeah.
Right?
I like doing sports I don't know anything about.
So gung-ho.
When I got back to work, when I told you I started doing the women's Olympic water polo team.
We got it right. And then you injured it. You re-injured, or you're okay?
No,
you're okay.
I was great.
Let's see your range of motion. No, look at that, folks. She's lifting her. That's
good
like
therapy.
what? Yeah, that's about 170 degrees, right?
I
range.
can do
Good call, John.
185.
Good call.
Yeah, good call. I still have my hands.
He still has it.
Yeah, exactly.
We need a goniometer.
Exactly. Yeah, right. That's right. And yes, and Darci has treated, I was looking at Gilbert. Darci has treated Olympic athletes, folks. She has treated the women's water polo, the gold medal women's
2012.
2012.
Treated some of them.
Before, in preparation for the Olympics during their course. And so and they won the gold, Gilbert.
Go USA.
I think it's because of Darci, because her physical therapy.
She has magic.
It's because of their hard work.
You can take credit. She's being, and Mike.
Don't be bashful.
Yeah, and Mike too. I mean, Mike's been a therapist a long time, and his clinic, which is like one of the premier clinics in the Los Alamitos area, you've treated Olympic athletes too, and baseball players, right?
We have. We've we've been fortunate enough to treat a lot of different people, and some of them have been athletes, and that's always exciting to get those kind of
Fun.
people, and fun.
Yeah.
And so we had a stint with the women's water polo team when they were training at the base in Los Alamitos. The Irvine office, which Gilbert has worked at in the past, my partner there, Dave Bradley, has treated a number of athletes from currently some of the Ducks and some Angels baseball players and some the volleyball players that are in the Olympics right now, and so he's an excellent therapist, hard to beat. So he's seen a lot of them there.
Fantastic. We are almost out of time. I'm just going to give a quick your names again, then I'm going to ask you one last question. So if my listeners want to have premier physical therapy, there's all our practices here in the Los Alamitos area and a little of the Newport Beach area in that area. Los Alamitos Orthopedic and Sports Physical Therapy and Newport Beach.
Newport Physical Therapy.
Newport Physical Therapy. And on the peninsula and Huntington Beach and that area south, Darci Tharp at Healthzone PT. Healthzone PT. And if you want athletic training, if you have an elderly mom or dad that maybe you need to get them up and move. Maybe they don't have a specific condition, and you just want them to have fun because Gilbert, it's fun. It's fun.
It's exciting, John.
It is. I've seen those videos, and those patients are having a good. They're smiling and laughing. They love you, Gilbert.
Yes.
They love you.
They got great stories full of wisdom.
Yes, and it's a Vital Fitness LLC. Vital
John.
Fitness. But I wanted to ask everybody in wrapping, I have a lot of business owners that are listening. It's a business show. What would you say? I'm going to ask everybody, what would you say to business owners that are struggling right now, particularly in their first or second year? You struggle. You've had your struggles. We've all had our struggles. What would you say, words of encouragement, Mike, to these people?
Well, I think first of all, you have to have make sure your goal is in line with the best business that you can provide, and then surround yourself with some good people, whether it's one or two or three. Make sure you're surrounded with good people who can guide you and direct you, and there is a financial component to that you need someone like an accountant or someone you trust who can guide you through some of those details that are more financially valuable to a starting business. So I think it's knowing your business, knowing what you're good at, make sure you stick to that, and then surround yourself with some good people.
Fantastic. Darci, what about you? What advice?
I can say that's exactly true because I started 3 years ago. I'm basically still struggling.
It's hard.
But it was because I did not have those people. And I kind of went in almost blindly, like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, And I had a couple people, but then they had to step out, and then you get somebody else that's not quite as equipped and doesn't quite guide you honestly. And so you really do. You really have to take the time to look at who you want in your grouping or your camp, so to speak. So
right. Well, you have us to call on. You have Mike. He's successful, and Gilbert. What about you? You've had your struggles. You're getting your business off the ground. What advice would you give?
Yes, the same components with Mike and Darci, and one of the big major component is that my wife and I talked about. It was hard for me to go out on my own, to leave Mike. He's such a great boss, great guy, great friend, kindness of all.
Yes.
And, but you know what? My wife and I are bound together, and we talked about things. And her support and my family was huge. It was huge. So to go off on my own and being risky, and I couldn't turn back.
Yeah, and you always have a job. We always,
yes.
If we all three have a job, right, Mike?
Wait.
Right? That's a commitment we're going to have.
And that's why I keep up my license, doing the CEUs.
I do. Hey, I do too, Gilbert. I do too. Okay, I have my license current.
We got backup.
Yes, I have backup.
One notch up now.
So, we all might three be knocking at your door, Mike.
I look forward to that.
Okay, good. I know. We'll bring the crew together. So, did you guys have fun?
It was great.
It was
Thanks,
so
John.
much
Fun?
fun.
That was John.
It was
I
fun.
know. I had a
Thank you.
great time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so
Not
much.
sure what to expect, and obviously we don't do this very often.
Yeah.
I don't do this very often, but you've made it easy. And
Oh, John, you're in
you
your
can see-
element.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely, you are.
He's got the knack.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got the
Talent.
knack, and you're in your
You do.
you're in your niche.
Hey,
and I
John,
can
are
see
you gonna
that.
ever
Gonna make me
sing
cry.
Stray Cat?
Stray Cat
Strut for
Strut.
us?
You know what? I'm gonna find that, Gilbert. I was on a cruise ship and I did a Stray Cat Strut lip sync, and guess what? I came in number 1. There was like 20 people on that cruise ship. I got to put that on. I got to put that on Facebook. I kind of live on Facebook now.
Did you dance too?
I did. I danced. I sing. I kicked some butt. I really and took some
I do
names.
wanna see that.
You will.
I
You
do.
will. So again, wrapping up, Gilbert Orbeso, Darci Tharp, Mike Mandas, Jon Marchese, and we are signing off. Until next time. I just kind of say goodbye,
I
everybody.
wasn't even ready here. Everybody say goodbye.
Yeah,
here.
okay.
Bye, everybody.
All right, yeah, bye.
Thanks,
to see you.
John.
Yeah. And, give it your shout out to your wife and your son.
Oh yeah, Angela Mandas, the love of my life, and my son Brad and his wife Alex.
Nice. Gilbert, what about you?
A shout out to my wife and my kid, son, and Joseph and
And Joseph and that other kid, whatever
Yeah,
that
yeah.
other kid's name is.
How about you, Darci?
Oh, I can shout out to my sister and boyfriend Scott and all the people around Lido and past patients that have actually helped me survive. And
Nice.
to everybody else, don't give up.
Don't give up. And I want to give a shout out to my beautiful wife, Madonna, and my son, Carter, and Justin, who's at the office. You know, I have a salesman. He's got to be busy doing sales because he likes to come in here. It's kind of fun. And then I hired a virtual assistant, Jor-El, like Superman's dad.
yeah.
Jor-El.
All right.
He's busy to work, too. So are we ready, Paul? You have your hand
We're
on
ready.
that
You didn't
button?
say Ryan. Ryan's been patient.
And Ryan, you have a shout out to anybody?
Yeah, sure. Shout out to my wife Fallon, and shout out to my buddy. He is in the Coast Guard, and he's a rescue swimmer, and he's the craziest dude I know to
How cool
jump
is
in
that?
cold water.
Sweet.
He's up in Alaska.
Ooh,
My
you have
buddy
to be
Chris
crazy.
Austin.
That is.
So shout out to him.
All right.
It is.
Thank
So-
you to Ryan's friend.
Yes. Okay. So John,
Now we're ready.
Jon Marchese, Choice TV Radio, signing off.
Well, you've been listening to the party we throw here each and every week around Choice TV Radio. Is it radio? Is it TV? Well, it's really both. The way John does it with your host, Jon Marchese, award-winning executive producer and owner of Choice TV.